Alright, 1 second. There are people yelling in the park. Let me see what the commotion's about. I'm not sure. I can't tell. Sometimes I wish we had the upstairs apartment. That way I could have a better view of the park, and I can see all the mishigas that's going on over there. Because from my vantage point, I can only stare out the window, but I don't. There's lots of trees and stuff, so it's usually hard to tell exactly who's making a lot of noise, and so I can just kind of look from the sidelines and report back to you, because it's important that you should know. Friends, welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're starting Daf Yud Beis, Daf 12 of Masechta Yevamos. Friends, I didn't take any Advil before. I didn't take any Advil the entire day, actually, but hopefully I'll be all right. Anyways, we're learning Yevamos. Tsaras mima'enes, tsaras islandis. Oof, gosh, friends, here we go. We're starting Daf Yud Beis Amud Aleph, about almost like, I don't know, probably like 20 lines into the page. Amr of Leili Bar Mamel. Friends, you got it? We got a little bit far into the Amud yesterday, which I guess is good. It means less to do, but packs a punch. Amr of Levi Bar Mamel. You got it? Good. It says of Leili Bar Mamel. Amr Mar Ukva Mar Shmuel, the name of Mar Ukva, the name of Shmuel. Tsaras mima'enes asura. Whew. Shnikes. What in the world does this mean? Alright, friends, you ready? Here we go. Here come Ruvain, Shimon, Sarah, Rivka. I don't know if they are friends or enemies or nemesis. I don't know. How do you feel about Ruvain and Shimon these days, friends? What about Sarah and Rivka? Let's go weiter. So, you got Ruvain. Ruvain has got two co-wives, Sarah and Rivka. Rivka is a Ketana. Rivka is, she's a minor. Okay? Ruvain goes to Elwood. Ruvain dies. So now, Sarah and Rivka now have to do, have a zika now with Ruvain's brother Shimon. Okay. Rivka, who's a Ketana, who's a minor, she then says, heck no, I had enough. I'm freaking 10 years old. I'm already a widow and marrying my husband's brother. Dude, I'm out of here. And she's a minor. And she just she's a minor who's married Dirabbanan. The assumption is her father is dead. That's Pashup Pshat. And anyway, she says, I'm out of here. She doesn't need a get. She doesn't need nothing. She's out of here. Sarah, who's her co-wife, we're saying that she's a surah. Got the matzav? So, Amr of Leili Bar Mamel, starting from the beginning. It says, of Leili Bar Mamel, Amr Ma'ukva, Amr Shmuel. Tsaras mima'enes. So Sarah, who is the co-wife of Rivka, who was a minor, and says, heck no, I will not marry Shimon. Asura, so we're saying that Sarah, the co-wife, is Asura. Laman, who's she forbidden to? If we're saying to the brothers, that there isn't just Reuven and Shimon, there's also Levi and Yehuda and friends. They're all brothers. So if we're going to say that it means that Sarah, the co-wife, is Asura to Shimon and Levi, to Levi and Yehuda, etc., and Co. and other brothers. Hashta higufa sharia. 1 second, that wouldn't make sense because Sarah, the minor herself, would be permitted to Levi and Yehuda and friends, the other brothers. Damar Shmuel says, Me'ana baze muteres baze, that if Rivka refuses Shimon, she's nonetheless permitted to Levi and friends. So tzarasam ibaya. So if Rivka, the mima'enes herself, the refuser herself, is permitted to Levi and Yehuda and friends, so then Memele certainly Sarah, the co-wife, would be permitted to Levi and friends. So then how do we understand that Tsaras Mimenes is Asura. So Ledide to Shimon. So starting from the beginning. Ruvain had 2 wives, Sarah and Rivka. Rivka is a minor, is a Ketana. Reuven goes to Wellwood. And then Sarah and Rivka now have a Zika with Reuven's brother Shimon. Sarah is a minor. Sarah says, heck no, I'm out of here. Whoa, no, sorry. Rivka is a minor. Rivka the minor says, heck no, I'm out of here. And we're saying that her co-wife Sarah now is usher to Shimon. She doesn't do Yibum or anything with Shimon. Because Rivka says, I'm out of here. Rivka the minor says, I'm out of here. So Sarah is asura to Shimon. That's what we want to say. Is Disharya le'achin. But then frek the Gemara, is Disharya le'achin. But how come we say that Rivka, right? We just said a minute ago that Rivka, who refuses Shimon, is nonetheless, right? Rivka the minor, who refuses Shimon, is nonetheless permitted to Levi and friends. To lo avdebu maisa. Well, because she didn't do anything to indicate, she didn't do anything to them, right? Meaning, Shimon, she refused. She didn't do anything to Levi and Yehuda and friends. So therefore she's permitted to them. Well, Sarah Nami, lo avdebe maisa. But Sarah, the co-wife, also, she didn't do anything to Shimon, so why is she forbidden to Shimon? So, Gzer Mishum Tzaras Bito Mimaenes. Friends, what does that mean? Well, it's very similar to Tzaras Mimaenes. It's just Tzaras Bito Mimaenes. Who can guess what it means? It means, starting over, Reuven has 2 wives. Right? So far, the same thing. Reuven has 2 wives, Sarah and Rivka. Rivka's a minor. Givaldik. Reuven goes to Wellwood. Reuven dies. So now, Sarah and Rivka have a Zika. Sarah and Rivka the Ketana have a Zika with Shimon. Here's the thing, friends. Rivka the Ketana is Shimon's daughter. Maybe you're wondering, but if Shimon's still alive, then how could it be Meyun? Then wouldn't it be marriage d'oraisa? Because the father is allowed to marry off his daughter who's a Ketana midoraisa. So they say maybe it's talking about where he already married her off to somebody else, and then they got divorced, and she's like a Yisol Machaya, whatever it is. Forget about the details over here. The fact of the matter, yes, it's possible for Rivke, the Ketana, to be able to do Meyun even if her father Shimon is alive. Okay? So just assume that. So, starting over. Reuven is married to Sarah and Rivke, the Ketana. Reuven gestorben, he dies. Now, Sarah and Rivka the Ketana now have a Zika with Shimon. The thing is that Shimon is Rivka the Ketana's father. So, we're saying in that case, if Rivka says, I'm out of here, I'm not marrying my father, and she says, I'm out. And in that case, Sarah, did something just happen? Did I get some kind of text message? I don't get, excuse me. Well, that was good. Anyways, so in this case, Rivka says, I'm out of here, I ain't marrying my dad. And then she refuses her dad. Hopefully he's not insulted. And we're saying that now the co-wife, Sarah, is forbidden to Shimon as well. Okay, fine. So, so we say that even in a situation where Rivka is not the daughter of Shimon, still Sarah is forbidden to Shimon out of concern of the case where Rivka is the daughter of Shimon. Okay, what do you want me to tell you? But one second. But who says that that's a problem? Meaning, even in the case where Rivka, the Ketana, is Shimon's daughter, But even in that case, and then she says, I'm out of here. Who says that Sarah would be Asura to Shimon? We learn in our Mishnah, that all of the 15 cases, Imesu o meyanu on his garshut, or say mutaros, that in all 15 cases in the Mishnah, if the erva died, or if the erva refused, or if they got divorced, or if the erva got divorced, then the tsaras are mutter. They're able to do yibum. Demeyan abaman. And so when we're talking about meyun, about refusing, this ketana who refuses, who's she refusing? Is she refusing Ruvain? Is she refusing Shimon? So if we're saying that it's talking about where Rivka, even when Ruvain is still alive, she says, I'm out. And then we're saying that Sarah, the co-wife, is permitted to Shimon, but Hanu Grusha, that's for all intents and purposes the same thing as if Rivka would have gotten divorced. So So rather, it's talking about, let's assume that it's talking about the Yavam, it's talking about Shimon. It means that when Ruvain was married to Sarah and Rivka the Ketana, Ruvain dies, and then Rivka then refuses Shimon. So we're saying in that case, then Sarah, the co-wife, the Mishnah seems to be saying would be permitted. So why are we saying that she's also? So the Gemara says, Lo la'olam b'ba'al. Really, it is talking about the husband. It is talking about where Rivka, the minor, refuses Reuven. It says, I'm out. So then wouldn't that be the same thing as Niskarsha, as getting divorced? So v'tregav negerushin. And we're saying that, well, there's two kinds of divorce. There's mamish divorce and there's meyun. It's listing different cases that are different from each other. It's listing different cases that are different from each other, but the Rivka, the Ketana, doing meyun and refusing, she's refusing Ruvain. And in that case, when Rivka the Ketana is Reuven is still alive and she says, I'm out. So in that case, if Reuven dies without children, then Sarah, the co-wife, would be permitted to Shimon. But if Sarah, the co-wife, if Rivka, the minor, were to refuse Shimon, so then Sarah, the co-wife, would be Aser. So therefore, in that case, when there was the erva, right, the Rivka, the minor, was Shimon's daughter. So then, if she refuses Shimon, Sarah, the co-wife, would still be Asura. Okay, fine. Fact the Gemara, Kimeano biyavam. Wait, I skipped 1 second. Hanu grusha ela biyavam. Dolol babav chagam gershin. Fine. Fact the Gemara, umayshno kimeano bibaal. But 1 second. How come we're saying that when Rivka the minor refuses Ruvain, so then Sarah the co-wife is permitted to Shimon? That kilu, even if Rivka the Ketana was Shimon's daughter, right, and then she refused Ruvain, so then we say that Sarah the co-wife would be permitted to Shimon. The akrinu l'nisuin. Well, because when she refuses Ruvain, she's uprooting the marriage. And then she's uprooting whatever, when Rivka the minor refuses Ruvain, she's uprooting whatever relationship there was, and it's over, it's done. It's nullified. And therefore when Ruvain dies, Sarah the co-wife has a zika to Shimon. Kimeano biyavam nami. But shouldn't we say the same thing? That when Rivka the Ketana refuses Shimon, nami nisuin kamoi ka'akra, isn't she basically saying I'm out and dissolving even the first relationship to Ruvain? She's dissolving the whole thing. So, and for the Gemara, Mishum Detani Rami Bar Yecheskel. Well, because we're taking into account what Rami Bar Yecheskel taught, which is the Tani Rami Bar Yecheskel, man of the Baal, that if Rivka the minor refuses Ruvain, so then Muteres le'aviv, she's permitted to her father, to his father. So, let's say you have Rivka the minor is married to Ruvain. She says, Ruvain, I'm out of here. She's a Ketana and she says, I'm out. So she would still be allowed to marry Ruvain's father, Yaakov. It wouldn't be like as if Yaakov is marrying his daughter-in-law. No, if she refuses Ruvain, so then she's nonetheless allowed to marry Yaakov. Alright? B'yavam, but if she if Ruvain dies, and then now she has a zika to Shimon, and then she says to Shimon, I'm out of here, asura la'aviv. She's not allowed to marry Yaakov. Alma, from here we see, Mishas Nefila Nires Kechalaso, that once Ruvain dies, and then she kind of, moves on, so to speak. I don't know, now like, she's, I guess moves on in a sense to like Shimon. It almost like legitimizes the marriage to Ruvain, to the, that Ruvain's now dead, and she's now has a zika to Shimon. It kind of like, makes the first relationship official, and therefore, once Ruvain dies and she has a zika to Shimon, she can no longer marry Yaakov, even if she refuses Shimon. Because when Ruvain dies and she kind of moves on to Shimon, so then that creates like as though there was like a proper relationship there with Ruvain. So Hachanami Mishas Nefila Neris Kitzaras Bito. So here also, when it comes to Rivka the minor, who's Shimon's daughter, also even if she refuses Shimon, it's not exactly like she uproots the relationship that she had with Ruvain, which would then make Sarah permitted to Shimon. No, once Ruvain dies and Shimon's daughter Rivka the minor now has a zika to him, so then even if she refuses, the fact that Ruvain died and she kind of moved over to Shimon, that kind of gives an air of legitimacy to the first marriage, and right to Ruvain, it's not like it's completely uprooted, and therefore it's like, Rivka the minor is the co-wife of Sarah, and there's this relationship with Shimon, which is not allowed because it's his daughter, it's an erva, and therefore Sarah, the co-wife, is asura. She would not do yibum with Shimon, even though Rivka the minor did me'un, she refused Shimon, her father. And therefore, out of concern for that case, when Rivka the minor is the daughter of Shimon, we say that even in a regular case where Rivka is not the daughter of Shimon, nonetheless, if Rivka the minor refuses Shimon, Sarah, her co-wife, would be asura to him nonetheless. Now, moving on in the Gemara, Amar Rav Asi, it says Rav Asi, Saras Ailonis Asura Shnem Ravaya B'chor Sheteleit Prad Lailonis Sheni Yoledes. Okie dokie, friends. What's this talking about? Ruvain. Remember him? Ruvain. Uki, Ruvain. He's got two co-wives, Sarah and Rivka. Okay. Rivka is in Ailonis, which means that she, I don't know, what's the word? Biologically? Yeah, I guess biologically maybe makes sense. She never matures, and therefore she's not capable, of having children. So, Ruvain now dies. Sarah and Rivka now have a zika with Shimon. And the thing is that Rivka is in Ailonis. Now, back in the Gemara, from the beginning, Amar Ravasi, so says Ravasi, Tsaras Ailonis, Sarah, who's the co-wife of Rivka, who's an Ailonis, she's incapable of having children, Asura. So, Sarah is Asura. She's not allowed to do Yibum with Shimon. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, V'haya abachar sheteled, that it will be, meaning the whole point of Yibum is that Ruvain died without any children. So, by his wife marrying Shimon, his name will sort of continue. Prat la'Ailonis she'eni yoledes, to the exclusion of an Ailonis who's not capable of having children. So therefore, if Rivka is incapable of having children, and therefore, there's no point of Rivka doing Yibum because she's not able to have children, and therefore, sort of the goal here, which is for them to have children so that Reuven's name will continue, is impossible to be achieved, and therefore Rivka is essentially not shaykh to Yibum, which makes her what? Shimon's brother Reuven's wife, Eshes Ach, which is an erva. Right? Meaning if there's no possibility for Rivka to be able to do Yibum, so then Rivka is simply Eshes Ach, which is an erva. Now, if Rivka is an erva of Shimon, so what does that make Sarah? Sarah's erva, the co-wife of an erva. And that is why she is Asura. That's why she's not allowed to do Yibum with Shimon. Okay, so again, Amar Ravasi says Ravasi Tsaras Ailonis, the co-wife of an Ailonis, Asura, is not allowed to do Yibum. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Vaya b'char sheteled prat la'Ailonis, that the whole point of Yibum is that so that then there will be a child born, and that will sort of continue the name of Reuven, to the exclusion of an Ailonis who's unable to have children, she'enu yoledes, who doesn't have children, and therefore, if she's unable to have children, then Yibum is not shaykh, in which case she's simply Eshes Ach, which makes her an erva, and if she's an erva, so then her co-wife Sarah is Asura as well to Shimon. Masav Rav Sheshes, friends, Rav Sheshes asked the question. You ready for the question? I'm ready. Shlosha achin nisuin shalosh noshim nachrios. V'meis echod mehem ve'asa b'sheni maimer v'meis hari elu chotzos v'lo misyabmos. Okay, one second. We should go through this slowly. Okay, friends, who could tell me what mimer is? Who could tell me what mimer is? Mimer is that. So how does Yibum work? What's sort of the simple? Simple is relative, but what's the simple case of Yibum? Reuven's married to Sarah. Reuven dies. They don't have any children. So Shimon does Yibum with Sarah. What does it mean that Shimon does Yibum with Sarah? He sleeps with her. And so, that's what Yibum is. But the rabbis didn't feel comfortable with that. That is very sort of explicit, right? Reuven's dead. Shimon sleeps with his sister-in-law. We wanted to make it a little bit more adin, a little bit more sensitive. So what do? So they treat it as if it's like a kiddushin kind of thing. He's mikadesh her with money or with a document, and that's kind of how midarabanon that relationship is created. And then yes, ultimately midaraisa when they sleep with each other. So then now it's official. But the rabbis sort of, at least on a dirabanan level, they say, look, sort of make the connection first with either money or with a document. Fine. That's what mimer is. But it's only midarabanan. It's not midaraisa. So now, you have Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. They are brothers. Reuven is married to Sarah. Shimon's married to Rivka. Levi is married to Rachel. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, not sisters or anything like that. They're not related. They're just sister-in-laws, right? Reuven's married to Sarah, Shimon's married to Rivka, Levi's married to Rachel. Now, Reuven dies. I'm sorry, but he does. At least in this example. Now, what of course happens? So now Sarah needs to do Yibum or Chalitza with either Shimon or with Levi or with any of the other brothers if there are. But anyways, fine. Shimon steps up to the plate and he gives Sarah money or a document. He does mimer. So on a Dirabanan level, Shimon and Sarah now have like something going on. That, he gave her money or he gave her a document, he did mimer. So there's something going on. On a Deoraisa level, there's nothing going on. Because until they have Bia, until they sleep with each other, Yibum, there's no Yibum yet. Shimon dies. Now Shimon's dead. So now what happens? Well, Levi, now, so on a Deoraisa level, Shimon had no relationship with Sarah. So on a Deoraisa level, it's as if Reuven died, Shimon died, they each had wives. We want to continue Reuven's name, we want to continue Shimon's name. So he can do Yibum with both Sarah and Rivka. But on a Dirabanan level, Shimon, kind of was married to some extent to Sarah as well. Which means that the Zika with Sarah is coming from both Reuven, because, Shimon never actually did Yibum with Sarah, but also kind of from Shimon as well, because Shimon did mimer with Sarah. So, friends, that's the case. So, Masiv Rav Sheshes. So, Rav Sheshes has the kasha. Shlosha Achin. You have three brothers, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Nisuin Shalosh Nashim Nachrios, and they're married to three sort of random women. Sarah, Rivka, and Rachel. Reuven dies. V'asa b'sheni mimer. Shimon then does mimer with Reuven's widow Sarah. He gives her money, he gives her a star. V'ames, and then Shimon dies. Hare elu cholzus v'lo misyabnis, and we say in this case both Sarah and Rivka should do chalitza with Levi. Don't do yibum. Because there was this kind of midrabanan relationship between Shimon and Sarah, and Shenemar, as the apostle says, v'meis echot mehem. If one of them dies, Yevamo yavo aleh, so then her yavam will, be with her, and then there will be yibum. Mishaleh zikas yavam echad v'lo zikas shnei yivmin. This applies to somebody who has the zika of one yavam, not of two. Now, in this case, this Zika is really kind of coming from Reuven and Shimon, because, Shimon did mimer with her, and therefore, we say Levi, just do Chalitza with Sarah and Rivka. Now, Vikatani Allah, and we taught about it, Rav Yosef, it says Rav Yosef, Zo hi Saras Eishes Och Me'ov She'isser Nefira Garam La. That this is the Tsaras Eishes Och. This is, Rivka is the co-wife of the wife of your brother, i.e. the co-wife of Sarah. She'isser, right, Me'av, from the same father, right, that Reuven and Shimon are from the same father. She'isser Nefila Garam La. That the fact that Sarah sort of now became Shaykh Tibum with Shimon, that's what kind of caused both of them to get chalitza. Shelo matzinu b'chol Torah kula kigon zos, that we don't see anywhere in the Torah mida oraisa that they would both need chalitza. Mida oraisa, Levi could do yibum with both Sarah and Rivka, but because of the Rabbanon that he did mimer, so therefore we say just Levi should do chalitza both with Sarah and with Rivka. Zori lemutemai. Now we say that this is the case where they do chalitza and they don't do yibum. Lav lemute tzara sailonis desharia. Is it not coming to exclude the co-wife of an ailonis that she would be allowed to do yibum? Lo, no, the mute tzaris ailonis the asira. No, it's saying that the tzara, that the co-wife of an ailonis is davka osir. Umay zohi. So it doesn't mean that this is. Zohi de isun ifila garim la tzarasa baya chalitza. This is the situation where Rivka's co-wife Sarah needs to at least do chalitza, whereas Ailonis afilu chalitza lo baya. Whereas by an Ailonis, the co-wife doesn't even need to do chalitza. My time hakam hadaraisa adarabonon, because Ailonis is midoraisa, right? As the pasuk said, Hasher teled pad Ailonis. Midoraisa in Ailonis is not shaykh to Yibam, and therefore she's an erva, and therefore her co-wife is the co-wife of an erva, and therefore there's no shaykhis to Yibum whatsoever, and therefore you don't even need chalitza. Whereas by the situation of Shimon doing mimer with Sarah, so that's midar abanon. Because it's midar abanon, we want to we say at least that Levi should do chalitza with both Sarah and with Rivka. Tanan, we learn in our Mishnah, V'chulan, that all of these cases, all of the 15 cases in our Mishnah, in Mesu o Me'anu, if the erva died, or the erva refused, o nizgarsha, or they got divorced, o shenimtzu ailonis, or they turned out to be an ailonis, tzarosein mutaris, their co-wives are permitted. One second, we just said, Ravasi just said, that the co-wife of an ailonis is asura. Our Mishnah is saying that if it turns out that the erva is an ailonis, the tzara is taka permitted. So we said, it seems that ailonis, the co-wife of an ailonis is taka permitted. Lo kasha, it's no problem. Kanchi hikirba, kanchi lo hikirba. It depends. If he already knew in advance, right? Reuven already knew that Rivka was an ailonis, and he nonetheless married her. So in that case, yeah, he knew that that she was an ailonis and married her anyways, and she's his wife, and she's not able to do yibum, so it's just eishes ach, and Sarah is now the co-wife of an erva, so there's no so then Sarah is asura. But the Mishnah is talking about where Reuven did not know that Rivka was an ailonis, and therefore it was a mekachto, so it wasn't actually a proper marriage, and that's why the Mishnah says that Sarah would be permitted if it turns out that Rivka is an ailonis. Okay. Dekanami, you can also infer from our Mishnah that it's talking about where it turns out after the fact that she's an ailonis. Dekatani, it says shenimtzu v'lo katani shahayu shmamina. It says, right, if it turned out that Rivka was an ailonis, so in that case, then Sarah would be permitted. But if Reuven already knew in advance that Rivka was an ailonis, so then she would simply be an erva to Shimon, and then Sarah would be asura. Amarava, says Rava, hilchasa, the halacha is tzaris ailonis. When it comes to the co-wife of an ailonis, muteres, the co-wife is permitted, va'afilu hikirba, even if he knew that Rivka was an ailonis, va'afilu tzaris bito ailonis, and even in the situation where we're talking about that Rivka is the daughter of Shimon, right? So now if simply Rivka was the daughter of Shimon, of course, as we know from the Mishnah, that Bito, so then Sarah would be P'tura. She wouldn't have to do Yibum, right? If Reuven's married to Sarah and to Rivka, and then Rivka is Shimon's daughter, Reuven dies without any children, so of course the Mishnah said that Rivka, who's the daughter of Shimon, is Poteres, her co-wife. But we're saying in this case, Va'afilu tzaras bito ailonis, even if it's the co-wife of his daughter, but she's an ailonis, so then still the co-wife would be permitted to Shimon. Ve'ela hadikatani effecti gemara. But what about the fact that it says in our Mishnah shenimtzu that it turned out that she's an ailonis, which implies that if he knew, then the co-wife would be asura. Tni shahayu. So teach that shahayu that she was an ailonis, whether he knew about it or not. Sarah is going to be P'tur, the co-wife is going to be P'tur. Ki also Ravin Omer Rabbi Yochanan, when Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael to Babel, he said the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Achas Tzaras Mima'enes, Avachas Tzaras Ailonis, Vachas Tzaras Machzir Grushaso, Kulam Mutaris. Whether we're talking about the co-wife of a Mima'enes, whether we're talking about a minor refuser, whether we're talking about the co-wife of an Ailonis, whether we're talking about the co-wife of a person who got divorced and then married somebody and then got remarried, all of those cases, the co-wife is permitted. Yesterday we had spent a while talking about Machzir Grushaso. We couldn't really find a definitive answer. So over here we're saying that when it comes to Machzir Grushaso, the co-wife is going to be permitted to do Yibum. Tanu Rav Bevai Kami to Rav Nachman. Now Rav Bevai Taka teaches before Rav Nachman, Shalosh Noshim Mishamshos B'moch, that there are three women who are able to, when they sleep with their husbands, prevent themselves from getting pregnant by putting some kind of a cloth inside of them to prevent any possibility of fertilization. These are the examples. Ketana, a minor. Me'uberes, a woman who's pregnant. Umanika, a woman who is nursing. Ketana shema tisabe v'shema tamus. The concern with the ketana is that if she, maybe she'll get pregnant, and maybe if she gets pregnant, she might die. So therefore, she could prevent herself from getting pregnant. Me'uberes, if a woman is pregnant already, shema taise ubra sandal, alright, maybe the fetus will become a sandal. The Gemara Nida talks about sandals, akoponim. So yeah, the concern is that if she's already pregnant, and then the assumption is that possibly maybe if she gets pregnant again, then the new baby could kind of crush the first baby, and then I think maybe I don't exactly know what will happen, but we want to prevent some kind of a situation like this. So therefore, she could prevent herself from getting pregnant. Minika, and also a nursing woman, Shema Tigmal Bona Yevamos, that if she gets pregnant, so then she won't be able to produce milk properly, and her existing nursing baby could potentially die. Now, Bezui Kitana, when we say that a minor would be able to prevent herself from getting pregnant, because if she maybe will get pregnant, then she maybe will die. So we're talking about a girl who is between the age of 11 and a day and 12 and a day. Pachos mikan v'yasa mikan v'yasa alkei mishamshus kedarka v'oleches divrei Reb Meir. But younger than 11 in a day and older than 12 in a day, so then she doesn't prevent herself from getting pregnant. I think the assumption being that she's not going, less than 11 she's not going to get pregnant, more than 12 it's not dangerous. Whether she's less than 11, whether she's more than 12, whether she's 11 and a half, it makes no difference. She doesn't prevent herself from getting pregnant. And God will have mercy on her. Mishum shenemar shomer psoim Hashem, because it says that the Eibishter guards the foolhardy, and therefore God will take care of the people, and therefore she can just be with her husband normally, and then God will take care of her. Okay. Now, friends, you ready for the question? So from the fact that we say, according to Reb Meir, that he says that a ketana between 11 and 12 is allowed to be mishameshes b'moch, because we want, she can prevent herself from getting pregnant, because we want to avoid a situation where maybe she'll get pregnant and then maybe she'll die. Which means that, maybe she'll die, but maybe she won't die. Friends, you got the kasha? The kasha is that our Mishnah said that when it comes to these arayos, so then what did the Mishnah say? You are unable to say about your mother-in-law or your mother-in-law's mother or your father-in-law's mother, that they became, that it turned out that they were an ilonis, because obviously your mother-in-law can't be an ilonis. She's the mother of your wife. Clearly she's capable of having children. O shemeanu. Also, it's impossible to say about your mother-in-law or your mother-in-law's mother or your father-in-law's mother that they're ketanim, that they're minors, and that they would be able to do meyun. Right? If it's your mother-in-law, then the assumption is that she is not a minor, and therefore she's unable to do meyun. So therefore, but one second, the kasha is, who says? If we're saying that it's possible for a minor to get pregnant and to have a baby and not to die, well, there could be a situation where Reuven is married to Sarah. Sarah is 11 years old. Sarah gets pregnant, gives birth to Rivka, while she's still a minor. Shimon then marries this infant Rivka, which means that Shimon's mother-in-law is Sarah, who's a minor, and if Reuven now dies, so now you can have a situation where, he's got his mother-in-law here, and and she would be able to do meyun, right? So the Mishnah had said that it's impossible to have a situation where your mother-in-law can do meyun, because how could she be a katana? But if we're saying that a katana could theoretically have a baby and survive, well then maybe she'll give birth to, Reuven's wife, and then to Shimon's wife, and then Reuven dies, and then all of a sudden his mother-in-law is involved. And she can do meyun. She could say, I'm out of here. She's still a katana. Friends, that's the question. Let's read it again. Implying that it's possible for a katana to be able to get pregnant and to give birth and not to die. Which means that you could have a situation where your mother-in-law is able to refuse you. Vitnan, and we learn in our Mishnah that it's impossible to say regarding your mother's mother, or your father-in-law's mother, that they turn out to be an ilonis, obviously, because your mother-in-law or mother-in-law's mother or father-in-law's mother, obviously they're capable of having children because they gave birth to, your wife or whatever it is. O shemeanu, or that they did meyun. However, we just said that it sounds like it could be possible for your mother-in-law to be able to still be a katana and do meyun. So, ema shem tesabe v'tamus. Rather, so ema shema tesabe v'tamus, meaning don't say shema tesabe v'shema tamus. Don't say maybe she'll get pregnant and maybe she'll die. No, we're saying that she's allowed to prevent herself from getting pregnant so that we avoid a situation where she might get pregnant and then certainly die. And therefore there's no chance of your mother-in-law doing meyun, because if she's your mother-in-law, then she must be dead. Meaning if she was a katana, because she wouldn't survive. To Amr Rab Bar Levi, that says Rab Bar Levi, Gvul Yesh La Kodem Azman, that there's a line in the sand, that there's boundaries. Kodem Azman Azeh, that before 11 years old, Eina Misaber, she doesn't get pregnant, Kol Ikra at all. Toch Azman Azeh, Hi Meisa Vubra Meis, and if it's between 11 and 12, so then she will die and the fetus will die. La'achar Zman Azeh, after 12 years old, Hi Chayev Uber Chaya, so then she'll live and the fetus will live. Okay, so we want to say that actually if she gets pregnant between 11 and 12, she will definitely die, and therefore it's impossible to have your mother-in-law who's a katana and can do meyun, because if she's a katana, then she would have died during childbirth. And it also says that I guess the fetus would die, which means that it would also be impossible for her to be your mother-in-law, because if she gave birth during that time, the fetus would be dead as well. Ini, is this really true? Ve'atani Rabbi Bar Shmuel taught, Yat yochel omer b'chamosu ve'im chamosu ve'im chomev shenimtzu ailonis o shemeenu. But says Rabbi Bar Shmuel that you cannot say with your mother-in-law or your mother-in-law's mother, or your father-in-law's mother, that they're an ailonis, obviously, o shemeenu, or that they did meun shekvar yoldu, because they already gave birth. Implying that, meaning the fact that her mother-in-law already gave birth, even if she's a ketana, still she wouldn't be able to do meun based on the fact that she gave birth, which sounds like it is possible for a ketana to give birth, just that once she gives birth, she would be unable to do meun anymore. No, so really it means that a ketana between 11 and 12 can prevent herself from getting pregnant to avoid a situation where maybe she'll get pregnant and maybe she'll die, which implies that a ketana then theoretically would be able to have a child without dying. But so then what do we do about the fact that but then maybe your mother-in-law can end up doing meun? So Rav Safra says, Rav Safra bonim areim kesimonim, that having children is basically like simanim. Simanim are like 2 pubic hairs, right? I mean that they prove that you're no longer a ketana. Now, if you had a baby, that is a bigger proof than 2 pubic hairs that you're no longer a ketana, that you are a gedola. Those who say banim adifem simanim, that if a girl gives birth, then that's even better than having 2 pubic hairs. Certainly she's a gedola. What's the difference if we say that it's the same as the simanim, or if it's better than the simanim? But that even according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says that 2 pubic hairs is not enough, you have to have a lot of pubic hairs, even according. So if we say that giving birth is even better than 2 pubic hairs, so then even according to Rabbi Yehuda, giving birth is like the real deal, and she would no longer be considered a ketana. Okay, fine, and therefore it would be impossible to have a situation where you have your mother-in-law who's a ketana and doing meun, because memele, if she gave birth, she's already a gedola. Rav Zvid Omer says, Rav Zvid, ein bonim below simanim, you're not able to have children with unless you have 2 pubic hairs. That's a fact. V'nivdok, but why don't we just check? Chashin and Shema Noshu. Well, but even if we check, maybe they fell out. So that makes sense if you're the opinion who says that we actually do have to be concerned that the pubic hairs fell out. But what if you're the opinion who says we don't have to be concerned? So why don't we just check if there are pubic hairs? So but even according to Mandamar, who says that in general we're not concerned that, well, maybe the pubic hairs fell out. But in this case, because of the sort of intensity of childbirth, maybe the hairs did actually fall out, and therefore we can just rely upon the fact that if she gave birth, she has simanim, and she's a gedola, and that's that. We don't have to be concerned about a situation where your mother-in-law is a ketana and she can do meun still. No, once she gives birth, she's already considered a gedola. She can no longer do meun. Friends, that was Daf Yud Beis of Masechta Yevamos. So we had a few different sugyas over here. We first started off with the concept of tsaris mima'enes, that if you have Rivka the ketana and she then refuses Shimon, so we say that even Sarah the co-wife is also asura out of concern for her. Well, if Rivka is also Shimon's daughter, so then Sarah would be asura. So then also, even if Rivka is not Shimon's daughter, Sarah is asura. We talked about the tsaris ailonis. The Ravasi says that if you have if Rivka is unable to have physically unable to have children, so then she's basically just an erva. She's the sister of Shimon's brother, and the wife of Shimon's brother, and she's just an erva, which makes her co-wife Sarah Eishes erva, and therefore Ravasi says that Sarah the co-wife would be also to do yibum. Ultimately, Rava said at the end that no, when it comes to Nailonis, the wife is allowed to do yibum. She's mutaris, so Sarah would be allowed to do yibum. Then we asked the question, that we seem to be concerned that a minor is able to give birth, and if a minor can give birth, then we can have a situation where your mother-in-law can actually do meyun as a minor, to which we ultimately said, look, if she's giving birth, she's no longer a minor, she's a major, she's a gedola, and therefore that is why we don't have to be concerned about meyun with your mother-in-law, because memela she had children, then she's no longer a ketana, she can't do meyun anymore. Friends, that's Daf Yud Beis Masechta Yevamos. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.